Hello everybody and welcome to our Future of Europe talks. And today the special welcome to Helena Fritzton, the SND Vice President. Thank you for joining us today. It's International Day of Women, and of course we are going to talk about how to improve women's life here in the EU. But first, at the moment, I want to say that I'm especially thinking of the women fleeing Ukraine. So many women on trains, buses, in cars, on foot, traveling with the children, arriving as refugees in the neighboring states. So I would like to begin with a tribute to pay special tribute to all of them, and I'm sure that's also what is on your heart today. Helen?
Yes, thank you so much for this invitation. And of course, it is a terrible time in Ukraine. And I will send all my solidarity and all the support to the Ukrainian people and to the women, the girls and the children in Ukraine. We are with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because today is the Women's Day, International Women's Day. Let's start by dwelling on that. Are you celebrating Women's Day? Is it a special day for you?
Yes, of course, it is a very, very important day to us. It is a day to celebrate women's and girls' efforts and achievements for gender equality, but it is mostly a day about recognizing the challenges we still face and focus on greater attention on women's rights and gender equality. And the most important is, of course, to taking action and commitment to make a change for women and girls.
Mm-hmm. But did the way we celebrate the International Women's Day change in Sweden a lot? Because I'm from Poland, that's why I'm asking this question. And in Poland, it was a holiday where women would offer women chocolate and flowers, and now we take to the streets to call for our rights. How about Sweden?
For me, this day has always been a day to call for women's rights and gender equality. And in Sweden, I will say that the focus is on calling for change and focusing on the challenges. So for me, I don't want any flowers or chocolates. Mm-hmm. I want action, and I want action together in Europe. So yes, we should celebrate our achievements, but we must not forget about the situation for women and girls in our world today. And as you mentioned, Poland, for example, we need to still take the fight, and worldwide we can see that 1 in 3 women have experienced physical or sexual violence, and it will take 3 generations before EU reaches gender equality if we will hide our ambitions. Mm-hmm. So this is a day to call for change, commit and take action.
Mm-hmm. You are the SND Vice President responsible for gender equality, but previously you were also a minister for migration and asylum policy in the Swedish government. You were also a mayor of a Christian city, yes, in Sweden. Please correct me if I didn't pronounce it correctly. Was it hard for a woman like you to achieve these positions?
I'm an old woman, and I will see that gender equality and women's rights have always been on top priority in my political life and on my political agenda. I'm also a mother and I'm a grandmother, and I want my children and grandchildren, just like all other children in the world, to have the same opportunities to shape society and their own lives. So this is not the case today. If I can look at one of my grandchildren, she is a girl. She has started her school this autumn, and she will have a future full of opportunities in front of her. But if we continue at the current pace, she will be around 60 years old when the EU has reached gender equality. And this is not acceptable. 60 years until we reach gender equality. That means she will probably live her entire adult life with a lower pay than her male colleagues, and she will not have the same possibilities to be a part of decision making, and she will be at greater risk for experiencing gender-based violence. And the pandemic has most likely not shortened the time it will take to reach a gender equal union. So maybe my grandchild will never experience a gender equal at all. If we want to change this, if we seriously want to ensure that women and men, boys and girls in all their diversity have the same opportunities and fully can enjoy their rights, we must prioritize gender equality every day in every decision, and we must act now.
Mm-hmm. You already mentioned violence against women. And yes, it's true that, you know, we are in 2022 and every third woman is a victim of gender-based violence. That's 62 million women who have experienced physical or sexual violence from the age of 15. And you mentioned that you think about your granddaughter, but maybe today we have sort of a good news for all women watching us, because European Commission has finally proposed a directive to fight violence against women. You know that Socialists and Democrats, we have been calling on the European Commission for years for such a directive. Are you satisfied with this proposal?
Yes, I am. I warmly welcome it because this situation about gender-based violence is absolutely unacceptable. Every time a girl or a woman experiences violence is a failure of our societies. Until the day when gender-based violence is eliminated, this must be a top priority, and it is for our political family. Gender-based violence is both a cause of cancer and a consequence of gender equality. And for the S&D political family, it is crucial to end gender-based violence, while at the same time doing everything we can to strengthen gender equality and women's human rights. So this is really a warmly welcome for, and we are very happy that the Commission now presented a law to combat violence against women. And I'm especially glad about the fact that the directive makes clear that rape will not be tolerated and no one will stay unpunished. It will ensure that no means no everywhere in our European Union.
Mm-hmm. And let's now talk about women economical empowering, because I know it's something that is very, very important for you. You know, you also mentioned the pay gap, and this is something that we currently, the European Parliament, trying to compete with. You know that on average, women earn 14% less than men. But we, on comparable position, but we already have laws banning discrimination in the workplace. So why is it the case that there is this difference? And what else, what instrument we can have to compete with? You know, there are now this negotiation of the pay transparency directive. Do you think it will make any difference?
Yes, it's very important that we can see that the gender pay gap comprehends a large number of inequalities women face in access to work, progression and rewards. And I have some examples. Mm-hmm. There is over-representation of women in low-paying sectors. We can see it in the care sector, in health sector, and in the education. and highly feminized jobs tend to be systematically undervalued. And we also can see that an equal share of paid and unpaid work, because women are doing a lot of unpaid work. And we also can see the glass ceiling. Less than 8% of top companies' CEOs are women. But the largest part of the gender pay gap remains unexplained in the European Union and cannot be linked to worker or workplace characteristics such as education, occupation, working time, or economic activity the person works for. So first of all, to make women more equal economically, we must reduce the differences in employment rate between women and men. And our union must promote equal sharing of parental leaves and public provision of childcare. And more transparency, of course, in pay would help uncover and justify gender-based pay differences. And now the Commission, as you said, has presented a pay transparency directive, and negotiations in our parliament are still going on. Our group is very active in the negotiations. We do not want to see any pay gap at all, and our S&D family negotiators are working very hard with this file.
And last week or 2 weeks ago, we had also a big news about the progress of the Women on Board Directive, another very important file for the S&D group. Women on Board Directive that has been blocked for, I think, more than 10 years. It's about women in economy. Can you explain why it was blocked and for such a long time, and generally what is this directive about?
Yes, thank you. Yes, it is a very, very long time, and our political family is pleased that we finally can see the directive on women on boards, because it seems to be unblocked in Council. Germany, who has been among the blocking countries for 10 years, has changed its position under the new government. So I welcome that very, very warmly. And our S&D colleagues, Evelyn Regner and Lara Wolters, have worked very hard with this file as rapporteurs. The directive aims at improving the gender balance among non-executive directors of companies. And I also will explain, because even Sweden is a country on the blocking side, and for my party, for the Social Democratic Party, of course we are in favor, but we need the majority in our parliament. So we work very hard, exactly as what the German colleagues have done, and they got a result. So I really hope that we can have more member states in favor for this directive. And now we are hoping that the general approach will be adopted by EPSCO, and after that in FAM and jury, we will vote about the mandate for the negotiations.
The EPSCO, you mean the Council of Ministers responsible for employment, yes, in the member states, yeah, EPSCO. Just to make sure that everybody who is listening to us, who is not, working or living like us in Brussels, understands our abbreviation, Brussels abbreviation, EPSCO Council, so the Ministers for Employment. Yes. Yes. Now I wanted to ask you about the green transition, because you used to say very often that the green transition must go hand in hand with gender equality. Can you elaborate on this?
Oh, yes, I will do, because it's a very important question for me. Gender equality and climate policies are issues that need to be tackled horizontally and together. We want a climate transition that goes hand in hand with gender equality. I will underline that hundreds of times. We want, it is about women's human rights, and it is about sizing the opportunity to change gender equality. It is also about improving effectiveness of our climate action. As an example, women and girls around the world are demanding more climate action at the national and international level. They are important agents of change and have received increasing recognition for the leadership. However, women are still underrepresented in climate change decision-making bodies, and it is shameful that we do not make full use of women's experience, skills, innovation, and knowledge when tackling one of the biggest challenges of our time. So equal representation of women in all climate-related decision-making is crucial and must be a top priority. In short, with a gender lens to climate action, we are not only able to address the inequalities, but also speed up progress in the green transition. We should not decide which urgency to address. Rather, by tackling the climate crisis with a gender-sensitive approach and vice versa, we will be able to boost progress and ensure sustainable results that benefit all people and our common planet, of course.
And now I wanted us to talk a bit about the sexual and reproductive health and rights. We live in the same union, but Polish, French, or Swedish women do not have the same rights. And it's not just about abortion, but it's also like, in Poland, young women cannot get the morning after pill without prescription. What can be done about it? We know that, we always hear from the Commission, from the Council, that abortion is not included in the treaty, so there's nothing we can do. But I think there's still things we can do, no?
Yes, of course. This is one of our most important issues, and gender equality and women's empowerment starts with a person's free choice about their body and their life. Sexual and reproductive health and rights are fundamental human rights, and yet far from all women and girls can take these rights for granted. And since the abortion ban was introduced in Poland, tens of thousands of women, girls, and pregnant women have been affected. An abortion ban not only threatens human health and well-being, it threatens people's freedom, dignity, bodily integrity, and autonomy. So Poland's abortion ban violates women's basic human rights. This is why our political family is determined to do everything we can do to protect SRHR in our union. Last year, therefore, the Parliament adopted a historical report, our SRHR report, which my colleague Fred Matic was rapporteur for. By the adoption of this report, the European Parliament sent a clear message that we are putting women and their rights at center stage. Sexual and reproductive rights must remain rights in the entire European Union.
Helen, one area where the EU has no regulation at all, even less than concerning abortion, is prostitution. And after pioneering a certain approach to prostitution in Sweden, what lesson can other countries learn from Swedish approach? And I know that it is the topic very, very, very important for you.
Yes, it is an important issue for me because I remember what we have done in Sweden during a long time. My country, Sweden, was the first country in the world to introduce this ban. on purchasing sexual services. In January 1999, it became a criminal offense to buy sexual services, but not to sell them. Our Social Democratic Party, and especially our women organization in Sweden, was working very hard to have this law in place. We are proud, of course, of this achievement, and we can see result in Sweden. Mm-hmm. Today, more countries have taken this path. France, Iceland, and Norway are some countries, and we now hope that more countries will take decisions in this direction. For me, it goes without saying that it should never be possible to buy another person or conduct trade in people's bodies. Prostitution is the exploitation of people and gives a sense that some people are in control of others, which is, of course, harmful to individuals and to society as a whole. Taking a stand for those who are exploited in prostitution and at the same time criminalizing those who buy sex is the only right thing to do from my opinion and with my experiences. Poland's yes, we can see that we need this discussion also in other countries, mm-hmm. and I welcome a discussion that we continue the discussion in our political family, because also in our political family, in our different parties, we have different opinions. But I really hope that we will have this law together in Europe.
Mm-hmm. So we spoke today about gender-based violence, about pay transparency, the pay gap. We spoke about Women's Vote Directive. We spoke about so many different fights on the sexual and reproductive rights. We spoke about so many different files that are actually in the center of the Socialists and Democrats agenda. And I wanted to tell you, because we are now in the middle of this conference on the future of Europe talks, are you confident that we will make progress, even bigger progress on these files during this conference? So to make sure that really we achieve feminist Europe. Do you think these issues are of the importance during these talks? Is there enough? Are you confident there's enough time we devote to it, or we just prefer to, deal with other issues?
Oh yes, I really hope so, because for our political family, gender equality is a top priority, and the conference on the future of Europe is no exception. We must take action, we must show leadership, and we must deliver on the promises in the gender equality strategy. We must go from beautiful words to action, and we implement gender mainstreaming and ensure that gender equality is at the heart of what we are doing. And as I said earlier, if we continue at the current pace, our kids who just started school will be around 60 years old when our union has reached gender equality. So I really hope that gender equality will be a very strong part of the conference.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you with us. And I profit from the opportunity and invite already our viewers for the next events that we will have next week in the frame of the Conference of the Future of Europe. Thank you.
Thank you.